Hi, everybody. This is Jonathan Kuttner. Living with coronavirus is actually living with a constant threat. And it's a threat that you can't see, you can't feel, you can't hear. It's all around you. Someone could cough and you breathe it in. You could touch it and it could come in. Oh my God. Every time you turn on anything, news, your computer, it's just COVID-19 pouring in. So all this, what this does is it increases threat to us. And what that does is something really, really fascinating inside your brain. You have essentially two brains. You have a lizard brain, which is the inner part of your brain, or your caveman brain, but that's unfair on caveman. Let's go back to lizard brain, which is the part of our brain that we share with every creature on this earth. We share it with flies, we share it with fish and with all kinds, every single animal, and to a greater or lesser extent. And this lizard brain is that which keeps all our vital functions going, keeps your heart beating, keeps your temperature and so on. And tucked within it is the part that responds to threat. Outside the lizard brain, we have our what's called neocortex, the new part of our brain, which is what makes us human beings. All higher thought lives there. So if we come back to that lizard brain, there is a fascinating structure, and it's called the amygdala. Amygdala is a Greek word, and it means almond. And in the old days, it always sounds so fancy. Amygdala sounds wonderful. But the Greeks, when they were chopping up brains, they came across this little shape, and they said, "Oh, it looks like an almond." So they called it amygdala. Had no idea what it did. It's only recently we've discovered what the amygdala does. And the amygdala, there's one on each side of our brain, tucked deep inside in our lizard brain. It is the part of our brain that drives fight and flight. It has everything to do with processing deep, deep emotions that are fearful or that are scary. And therefore, once we become aware of these emotions, it then turns on fight and flight. And fight and flight is, if you're being attacked by a big angry lion, immediately a whole sequence of things occur in our body. So the amygdala fires, it turns on, and bang, your eyes dilate so you can see exactly what's happening. Your heart rate goes right up, your blood pressure shoots up so that you can absolutely run. Your mouth dries because you're full of adrenaline and you're full of cortisol, and you're ready to run 100 meters in 2 seconds, leap up a big tree to escape, or turn around and attack whoever is attacking you, whatever it seems appropriate. When the when the amygdala fires, what it does is it actually switches off all your higher function. It overrides your neocortex. And so you are now just like all animals, functioning at I need to escape or I need to fight or flight response. Now, the amygdala lives right next to another fascinating structure. It's called the hippocampus, which is a structure that it's a curved structure deep again within our midbrain, within our lizard brain. And the hippocampus is where we take memories. And, you have two kinds of memory. You've got a short-term memory. The hippocampus has very little to do with that. The hippocampus has everything to do with long-term memory, where you have a memory and then you lay it down in your hard drive. Well, your hard drive is, to quite a large extent, the hippocampus. And if you looked at the hippocampus, it's like a C-shaped structure inside your brain. And right at the bottom, next to the bottom part of the hippocampus, lives the little amygdala, sitting like that. And what we also now realize is that the nasty memories, the aversive, scary, awful memories that we hold within us live in this bottom part, right next to the amygdala. So part of what can happen is that you can be attacked from outside and your amygdala fires up and it appropriately says fly or fight and sets off that whole cascade. But because it's living right next to where these nasty memories come, what may happen is that a nasty memory, a scary memory, may turn on, may send messages into the amygdala, and you may say, oh my goodness, I'm feeling terrible, I have to escape. And the amygdala is non-thinking. It's deep inside and it says, I have to escape. So sometimes you may try to escape from painful previous memories and it sets off the same cascade. So the amygdala is super helpful if it is appropriate. It fires, it does what it needs to, and then stops. It is really, really creates a hell for you if it constantly gets turned on by stuff that's happening deep in your memory, in your brain, in your midbrain. Now, for us, living now in this time of COVID-19, unprecedented times, as you've heard 100 times before, but it truly is, with this threat that is all around us, it doesn't take a lot to get stuck in your amygdala. And once you're stuck in your amygdala, then not only are you going to be in this fight and flight mode, living with anxiety and, oh my God, what's going to happen next because of the threat of COVID-19, real or imagined, but often what happens is that a number of these other memories come in to, as it were, join the party, and then the whole of your life becomes very, very difficult. So the big thing, the big question then is, how can you escape from your amygdala? How can you escape from this hell that's inside you and make your life much, much better? Get a perspective. How can you change what's going on? So the big secret is to learn how to move outside your amygdala. Because while you're stuck there, everything is a threat. It's the non-thinking part of your brain. So therefore, to feel better, you need to override. You need to use that part which makes you a human being and which is actually really the boss. And that's what you need to do. You need to learn, you need to override what's happening in your amygdala. Now, there are if you were to look at inside your being, inside your mind, there's a scale, there's a set of scales. And on the one side, there are the things that are a true threat or a perceived threat or danger, the negative stuff. And on the other side, there's the positive stuff in your life. And the secret here is to take the negative stuff, one of which is coronavirus, and then there'll be some other, and I want you to take 3 other negative things in your life, that which makes you feel threatened or sad or anxious or bothered. And I want you to take 3 of those and then to do something very powerful. And that is, you take them from your mind and you write them down on a piece of paper. So these are 3 of the negatives which are weighing the scales so that the quality of your life has plummeted. Your amygdala is firing away, sending out danger, danger signals, and it is just thumping along. So for you to take control of your amygdala, the first thing that you can do is you take what's in your mind and it's driving that negative side, and you put it down on a piece of paper. You write it down. And this is called journaling. And you write them down very clearly. As you do that, it becomes, you are doing something actually profound. You're doing something which is taking that which was going round and round in your mind, which was kind of tucked away where you couldn't get to it, and you put it outside. You put it onto a piece of paper and you look at it. It is now outside you, and you can now use your higher mind, your neocortex. You can use the part which is you, which is reasoning, to look at those 4 things and to recognize, okay, yep, coronavirus it's all around. But actually the risks, when you start to think of them, are this and this. And if I'm away from people and I'm careful and I wash my hands and I'm, all of those things, suddenly the risk starts to shrink, and you use your intelligence to reframe the fear and to override the amygdala and to say to it, stop it. That's enough. You've shown me the risk and I recognize the risk, but now as a thinking human being, I see it outside me, and actually it's not that bad. It's not that terrible. There's one other fascinating thing you could do, is that you could take that piece of paper, you can look at it, you can crumple it up, and you can drop it into a waste paper basket. So taking those fears and throwing them away. Then on a second piece of paper, you are to think of 6 things in your life. You notice there were 4 bad, but you're now on 6 good. And you write down the six of the best things in your life. Which makes life worth living, that which was previously, kind of being overtaken by the negative stuff, but which is there, stuff to be grateful for. And you sit and you write those down, and as you look on them, you can write them in nice big bright colors. You can you say them out loud. You tell everybody around you, all of the people that you are at the moment sitting in the same room with, you tell them about how fantastic this is. And as you can make it bigger, or as my granddaughter used to say, biggerer. You can make it biggerer and biggerer. And by so doing, what you do is you change your life. It's so powerful. By using the higher part of your mind, shrinking down, turning down the stuff going on in your amygdala, in your lizard brain, and bringing everything into perspective. So that's your task, and it's actually amazing fun and surprisingly powerful. So I leave you with this task. I also ask you to make comments if you have anything that you would like to add, or any kind of criticisms. I don't mind criticisms, or what I'd really love as well is if you have any other things that you would like me to discuss. And I'd be really happy to do this, because I'm going to be doing this 2 or 3 times a week until we're through this present weird and, unprecedented crisis. So everyone have a wonderful week, and I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.